Welcome back, everyone. This is the next edition of our book club, The Social Chapter. In this go, we are taking a look at the novel White Ivy, written by Susie Yang. And our honorary book club president, Jessica Allen, why don't you take it away with a synopsis?
Well, this is a thrilling read with a really shocking twist, which is probably why it's to become a miniseries produced by Shonda Rhimes. So main character Ivy Lynch comes from a Chinese immigrant family, but she covets the American dream at any cost. And her childhood crush on Golden Boy Gideon turns into something pretty dark once they reunite as adults, and the drama ensues from there.
Okay, so the next part is one of my favorite editions here of the social chapter, and that is giving this book a rating out of 5. Each of us will go one at a time and defend our rating. Cynthia, take it away.
Okay, I gave this book a 4.7 out of 5, and here's
Ooh.
why. I really quite enjoyed this dark, sexy thriller. It gave me a lot to think about. I thought a lot about identity, about classism, vanity, self-loathing. It's also a book to me about historical hurts that can't be healed and about who we think we are versus who we actually are. It's also, of course, about love and lust and shame. So basically, just in time for Valentine's Day, it's the ultimate anti-romance novel.
Yes, yes.
Cynthia, I like the book too, and I gave it a 4 out of 5, and here's why. This is a book about 3 generations of Chinese immigrant women. They're all different. They're very complicated, very provocative, and they directly challenge the model minority stereotype of what Asians look like and behave like in North America. So I'm all over it. It just fell apart for me a little bit at the end, and that's why I took 1 point off.
Love,
Nice,
love,
nice.
love, love. Lainey, I also gave it a 4 out of 5, and here's why. Because who doesn't love a psychological thriller about a troubled social climber trying to con her way into East Coast elite society? Come on! And it kind of reminded me of the talented Mr. Ripley, because Ivy, too, is obsessive about leaving not only her past behind her, but her identity in her pursuit of material success. And yes, there were those unbelievable sharp turns at the end, but by that point, I was buckled in. This was a great ride.
Yes. Yes. Well, guess what? I also gave this a 4 out of 5. So consensus. And here is why. This novel spoke to me on so many levels. So, okay, no, I'm not a thief like Ivy. I'm not Chinese. I'm not American, but I am half Filipino, born and raised in a predominantly white town. And like Ivy, I've often felt that push and pull of culture and assimilation, the exhausting battle to fit in when I knew I would never truly belong. She's a perpetual outsider trying to break in, second guessing herself every step of the way. This novel ultimately asks, what are you willing to do and sacrifice to get the peace you deserve?
Love. Love, love, love. Okay, guys, let's talk more about the book itself and what struck you most about how it explored both Chinese and American cultures.
I think that, the way it portrayed the American dream and the pursuit of the American dream is how the American dream has been sold to people.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we don't appreciate the cost. But when we're talking about cost, it really also tells you the cost of leaving a home, why you might want to, the way immigrants, many of them do, and what they have to go through. Sometimes it's not a heroic departure. And I think that that's interesting too, because we have a little bit romanticized the immigrant's journey, and it is not always sexy or pretty.
I mean, I found it really interesting that even though this story was obviously centered on this Chinese woman's experience, Chinese American woman's experience, I found it very relatable. And not relatable in that I have gone through exactly that, but in that I think everyone can relate to the feelings of wanting to live up to certain expectations, and whether that's direct your family's expectations of who you should be or society's expectations of who you should be, and then starting to feel yourself being crushed under the weight of that and losing yourself in that. Those are the themes that I found really relatable.
Lainey, I love what you said in your review about stereotypes and how I felt like it sort of played and twisted, American and Chinese stereotypes, which was super, super clever. But I also liked how it sort of suggested that so many characters, regardless of where they're from, can fall for that allure of like the surface of things,
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true. As I said off the top in my review, I think, and as you said, Cynthia, the idea that this is relatable no matter who you are, but certainly if you do come from an immigrant family and all of the tap dancing that you are constantly doing between the story in your head the story, the face that you're trying to show the other people. And in particular, as you said off the top, Jess, that this is trying to access, the elite East Coast, white family and American dream. And then, you get whiplash back into your own experience. And I particularly loved Ivy's return to China and then her return back to America. It was such a fascinating journey into psyche and identity and assimilation and culture. And you don't have to be Chinese to understand that. If you ever have felt like an outsider, this book is going to speak to many parts of you.
I think every young woman who is straight identified can relate to be having a crush on the stupid popular guy versus like the actual guy who's right there, who is more interesting and knows you better, and rejecting that. Anyway, I'll just leave that there. That's
but Cynthia, it's a really good point. Cynthia, it's a great point. And then there's an added layer to that if you are a woman of color, right? Because typically what happens is that when you are a woman of color, that Gideon character, that high school popular everybody, he doesn't go for you. Yeah. So there's something very subversive about how she attacks those desires in there.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Okay, let's get to the casting call now. I love this part. So we know that this is getting turned into a miniseries, but so far they have not announced casting. So Jess, why don't you kick us off? We're going to cast Ivy and Gideon.
So for Ivy, I went with Shu Qi. She's a Taiwanese Hong Kong actress who mesmerized me in the movie Assassin, in which she actually plays an assassin. And for Gideon, I went with Chris Evans because, he's literally Captain America.
He's literally a Boston boy. He's literally a Boston boy.
It's true. Yeah. So I really screwed this up. I didn't cast for Gideon, who's supposed to be like the golden boy, the perfect boy. I cast for Rue. So anyway, just take this for what it is. I cast for Ivy, Canadian actress Andrea Bang. She's from Kim's Convenience. I feel like all her other co-stars are getting a lot of attention right now. She should get more attention. She's wonderful. And then, yes, instead of for Gideon, because this would be a terrible choice for Gideon. This is for Rue.
It's so perfect for
the
Rue.
other guy.
It's so
Adam
good.
Driver, brooding, moody.
Driver is not Gideon.
Yeah, exactly. Very different idea of Gideon. Okay, for me, I chose from Mulan fame, Liu Yifei for Ivy, and for Gideon, AJ Kappa of Riverdale fame. I just want to see these two together. Oh gosh, they're just so beautiful. I'd love to see them in this together.
And I went with Leah Lewis from the movie The Half of It that came out last year. If you haven't seen it, it's so good. And for Gideon, I went with Zac Efron.
Yes, good call.
So, yeah.
Love it. Okay, guess what time it is? It's the time to reveal the next social chapter selection, and we are going with The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. This is a family saga that tackles racial identity and considers how the past shapes a person's decisions. And guys, it was named one of the best books of 2020 by both the New York Times and Mr. Barack Obama.
Okay, fine. I guess those are okay. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, if you're going to read along with us, use the hashtag #TheSocialChapter. Can't wait to mix it up with this book and you at home. We'll be right back after this.